Welcome to the Real Talk with Dr. Toledo podcast. Dr. Sonia Toledo is here to delve into the world of education and how children learn. She's set to share practical insights, useful tips, and heartening stories tailored for parents, educators, and all those devoted to nurturing children's emotional, social, and cognitive skills, which are vital for their success in today's society. Join us as we venture through a diverse array of topics, covering innovative teaching methods, classroom strategies, and the latest trends that are reshaping traditional educational approaches. Along the way, we'll engage in enlightening conversations with experts, educators, and visionary leaders who are driving the transformation of education. Whether you're a teacher seeking fresh ideas, a parent in search of guidance for your child's learning journey, or simply a believer in the transformative force of education, this podcast is designed with you in mind. Let's collaboratively shape a brighter future for our children, one episode at a time. Dr. Toledo is a proud Boost ambassador, and she recorded this episode at Boost Cafe in May 2024. The episode featured Dr. Sonia Toledo engaging in insightful discussions with two distinguished guests from the after-school realm, Yublini Cazares, Program Manager of Expanded Learning Programs at Fontana Unified School District, and Aaron Parker, Site Director of the Boys and Girls Club of Oklahoma County. Together, they delved into the profound influence of emotional intelligence on workplace stress experienced by after-school supervisors in low-income communities. Yublini and Aaron shared invaluable perspectives on fostering emotional intelligence among staff members, identifying common sources of workplace stress, and implementing effective stress management strategies. Furthermore, they recounted personal anecdotes highlighting instances where emotional intelligence proved pivotal in resolving challenging workplace situations. So, grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and get ready to be inspired.
Hi. We are live. We also have about 6 people on the webinar listening live from somewhere across the country. My name is Dr. Sonia Toledo. I am the founder and CEO of Dignity of Children. We founded Dignity of Children in 2008 for the purpose of creating environments where children are emotionally safe and fully self-expressed so they could thrive. So I want to tell you about why emotional intelligence and workplace stress. I did my dissertation, it's been about 4 years now. What I did is that I surveyed over 100 program directors in New York City. They all worked in low-income communities. My study really focused on all of the challenges and responsibilities that our field has. Especially as a program director, we know that your challenges is not only running the program and managing the staff and creating curriculum and training staff and talking to the high-ups, or more like training the high-ups, working with the schools, the principals, the custodians, the funders, the licensor, the register. We have a very strong sense of relationship management. But then we also have the struggles that comes with the communities that we serve. Parents and children come in with lots of trauma, and even a day-to-day trauma from violence, trauma from the home. And most of my research was, how can we continue to bring in directors and leadership in our field and be successful with all these challenges? So the results of the study is that emotional intelligence really allows somebody to perceive workplace stress lower. So if you have a high emotional intelligence, and we'll go into what that is, you perceive workplace stress lower because you see it as a challenge. You see it as your work. This is an opportunity for not only for me to grow as an individual and as a leader, but also to problem solve with my teams. You perceive workplace stress as, this is what we do. What we do is solve problems. What we do is create leaders. What we do is support our communities. If you have a low emotional intelligence, you perceive workplace stress high. And what that means is that it's not about you not taking responsibility for it. It's that you either are not well equipped to do the job. You're either blaming other people for your demise, your challenges, or you don't have the support that you need. So what happens is that you perceiving such huge challenges, like it's impossible to do this work. Some of you know me and have seen me in other venues. You know how passionate I am about the true quality of our children. We need quality. We need quality leadership. And in quality leadership, we need to take care of ourselves. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, we first start with self-awareness. Self-awareness comes in, it's not about, oh, I know myself. This is what you got. No, self-awareness is really you understanding where your emotions are coming from. You have a real clear view on how your reactions are related to your past traumas or your incapacity. Right. And I want to keep saying low capacity because we have a real problem in this field that we don't put training and development high up in our priority list. If you put somebody in the position, they need to be trained to do the position, not figure it out as we go along. I've been in this field a very long time to realize that that's what we do, figure it out. So we have a really strong youth leader who shows potential, and then they get challenged when they're put into a leadership position because they don't have the management skills or the leadership skills. So that becomes stressful. I felt it was a good way to really demonstrate the intention of moving forward is that we must learn how to take care of each other, ourselves, and each other. And the way we take care of each other is by creating communities that we could have honest conversations with. So I brought two colleagues that they're going to share their stories. They're going to introduce themselves. But remember, when we're self-aware, we are also self-managed. In other words, we manage our emotions. We manage ourselves. And I'm not at all perfect, and I was sharing that when I get high strung, I get to be a little snappy. And then I have to check myself and then come back and say, you know what, you didn't deserve that. And I apologize for my snappiness because I'm out of whack. That's self-management. And self-awareness is really knowing the people that are around you and not just say, oh, look, we have a team of staff. Oh, look, we have a bunch of kids, a bunch of parents, and they're all this and they're all that. No, get to know your people. We really have to get deep in understanding your staff, your families, your children from the deepness of who they are. So they could also learn how to develop themselves. Relationship management. That's why you were hired. You were hired because you are good at managing all these relationships from the principals, legislation, families, teachers. We do it all. We talk to everyone and we're great influencers, right? But we're not as effective if we're not well. If we're not well, we then forget that the goal is about the children and we think the goal is about something else. We all got that something else going on. I want you to introduce yourself. Process would be that once we introduce ourselves, we're going to have a conversation. We're going to have an authentic conversation with each other. We're going to leave at least good 10, 15 minutes at the end so we can have a conversation with the audience. So you want to start?
So my name's Yubleni Casares, and I am the program manager for expanded learning programs for the Fontana Unified School District, which is about an hour and a half from here, and also an hour and a half from LA. So we're right in the middle there.
My name is Aaron. You can call me AA Ron. Find me in Old Shag Hennessy's office. I'm a site director for the Boys and Girls Club of Oklahoma County.
Like I said, I'm from New York. I've been working in the New York region. I started directors training in 1993 when the regulations for New York were established, and my job was to help directors, get their regulations in order and do training. So leadership has always been in my heart, especially the line staff, the directors that are on the floor. What I want to start with is we get to share our challenges. Like, as a leader, what are some of the challenges that you are experiencing?
So the challenges shift, right? Because when I first started in my position 6 years ago, it was not the program manager, it was a different position. There was a lot of disconnect with the program and the school day, and it was those kids, our kids, your kids. So there was a lot of disconnect. So one of the first challenge that I saw as I started learning everything about the program, because I came from HR, very different community. So I saw that disconnect, but because I had been in the district for so long, I started leveraging my relationships for the program. So I started meeting with principals and saying, no, you know what, we actually do this. And there's actually a lot of supervision, and there's actually structures in place, and started connecting those pieces. So that was the first challenge. And then as the program started evolving, started growing, and now in California with ELOP, Expanded Learning Opportunities Program funding, grew a lot. So then it was really learning how to communicate the needs that the families had, and the program wasn't invisible anymore, because there were so many families demanding the program, and there was such a big need. And now we had the funding to do it. So now there was a lot of communication to cabinet members, to board members, to associate superintendents, because now we needed to figure out how the district, how to really just embrace the program and make it 100% part of the school.
I know for me, whenever I first started, the challenges were, at least some of the challenges were parental buy-in, if you will, getting parents within our community to buy into what it is that we're actually trying to accomplish and what we're trying to do with our kids within our community and things like that, and trying to get them involved, and also trying to get buy-in from the school staff and as well as to what it is that we were doing, and also trying to make sure that we had adequate amount of staffing as well to be able to attain as many kids as what we were trying to do. And I'll touch on each of those, on how we were able to manage those and help improve those. So with parental buy-in, what we started doing at my site was started having family nights once a month, and trying to bring the community within Boys and Girls Club of Oklahoma County at my site. Because my site, I'm at a elementary school called John Glenn Elementary, which is on the southwest side of Oklahoma City, and that community is very low income. And so I wanted to be able to bridge the gap within that community and unify us and say, hey, we can help accomplish, what we want to accomplish within our kids and within our community and things like that, in terms of like trying to improve the quality of our kids, and like in terms of like their social and emotional wellness, and also their education. And so what we would do is we would, like I said, have family nights where we would have pizza, we'd have drinks and things like that, and have games, and they get a sneak peek at what we're able to do within our programming and things like that. They get to see the faces of the teachers of who their kids go to every day, which is my lovely team, our YDPs, which stands for Youth Development Professionals. And then also with the principals, we started making activity calendars on what we're doing. We started having meetings with them. We started just trying to keep them in the loop of everything that we're trying to do, and just even popping in our office and saying hey, how you doing? And then start a conversation from there. Not trying to oversell anything, just being authentic and genuine with what it is that we're trying to do and things like that. And then with staffing, we were trying to address that need, and thankfully we were able to have people to finally stick, and they saw the vision, and they were on board with it. It was a process, it's always a process to get people on board, right? Because they never know what they're walking into. But for me, I laid out the expectations like right at the front door, letting them know like, hey, this is what we do, this is how we operate. And then also letting them know that I got their back and that this is an open door policy and that any and everything that makes you uncomfortable, whether it's me, another staff member, or the way we do things at the club that you think that we can improve on, come let me know.
And it's interesting because I want to duplicate you and put you all over New York City, right? So you gave us a lot of strategies that you did, and they sound so much like my teachings, but it took a journey. You both had a journey to get to your successes, right? So could you share a situation or story where you know that you were facing a huge challenge and how you actually shift? What did you do in here to be able to handle or deal with that challenge?
So I go back, I mean, I'll leave like the COVID time out because that was obviously a challenge and stressful for everybody. But I'll look at how we are developing ELOP, and expanding the program. I'm very fortunate that I get to work with service providers and program partners that have been doing this for a long time at the City of Fontana, at the Boys and Girls Club in Fontana. There's the Champions with KinderCare, there's a Labo. So I'm very fortunate that we have really good partners that have been doing this a long time, and they knew they were good. But I wanted everybody else to know that that it was a solid program. So when it came to expanding, then it was, okay, teachers, we need more rooms, principals. And then it was like, no, because the reputation is that they mess up all the rooms.
Yep. Sounds familiar.
And they trash them and they don't pick up. I said, no, they started taking pictures. This is how the rooms are. Let's have better communication then.
Yeah.
So then if we're communicating, then you let me know what are the issues. Then we're all on the same page and we could overcome that. But the stressful part is when I'm having those conversations and they don't agree with me.
Yeah.
And then it's massaging it and it's finding different ways of all the pros and kind of selling it.
You seem to have a very calm demeanor, right? So I know that helps in maybe influencing. It's like, I want to say yes to you anyway, right? But when was it, what did you do when someone absolutely just did not agree with you? Was not, it was just a confrontation. You were not on the same page. How did you handle that?
There's two principals that after 6 years of all those conversations are still not on the same page with us. We're still not on the same page. I give them space because I can't force anybody to change.
Right.
I can't force them to have a different perception except proving it and showing it over time. So then to say
my language
for myself, very frustrating.
Yeah.
There were many nights where I wake up 3 a.m. and I'm thinking, what do I do? How do I talk to them? How do I communicate? Do I go over there? Who's the next person I need to talk to? How do I shift my approach so that they could have a better understanding of what we're trying to do? How do I improve the partnership? There's been many nights. And a time when I started to kind of disconnect because I thought, I'm kind of done.
Yeah.
But then we're serving children.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm done. They're not done. Their
Right.
needs aren't done. So then I have to figure out a different way. Am I reading a different book? Am I listening to something different? Am I thinking back and just kind of thinking, what else do I need to change? What other conversation do I need to have? And then, so internally, I'm frustrated, I'm upset, I'm not sleeping well. But externally, it's having a different conversation where it's, I respect you.
Yeah.
I'm listening to you and I want to partner with you. And it's just having that over and over and over. And with these two principles, sometimes I feel like we're making progress. And then one thing happens because a student ran to the restroom when they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And then we're back to step one. Because where was the staff to supervise the one student? Well, guess what? This happens during the school day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And-
it's just like,
So tenacity works.
Yeah, we're gonna get through.
And persistence, tenacity and persistence. Because you're not going to change their ways, but you're gonna still get back up and try another way to build that partnership because it's critical.
Yeah, and the kids do things, like they run off.
Mhm.
Then if it's a student that has special needs, they might be taking off their clothes.
Yeah.
That happens. That's reality.
Yeah.
So then this is what we need to accept. This is who we need to embrace. So then how do we partner? Because we're actually here to help. I'm not trying to contradict anything that's going on.
A big challenge that I walked into at my site specifically, actually within our district, was knowing that out of the entire school district population, kinder through 12, only 1% of the entire population could read at their preferred grade level. And that to this day still grinds my gears because that's also a passion of mine and that's why I do what I do, is because I want to be able to be an advocate for our kids and helping improve the quality of education for our kids, because that's what they deserve. Because we always talk about how we care about the future. Okay, well, let's start putting our money and our resources and our time where our mouths are. And so, and find ways to help our children be able to accomplish these things in terms of like bettering themselves personally and academically. So one thing that we do in our after school program is called Power Hour. Power Hour is an hour specifically dedicated to helping kids with their homework. And if they physically don't have any homework, which many times they don't, 9 times out of 10 they really don't, we still have something fun yet educational for them to do.
Keyword fun.
Yes.
You said fun.
Yes. Because kids come in 8 hours after school. I mean, not 8 hours after school, I'm sorry. They come in from being in school 8 hours, and to come into an after school program, they don't want something that's dull and looks exactly what they just have. You have to be able to have fun and creative ways to kind of mask that, to make them think that, this, hey, this isn't like actual schoolwork, but it's like you're still learning, still doing something. So at first we had some difficulties with, maintaining consistency within, our Power Hour and things like that. I would walk, into the classrooms and I would see that we're not doing what we're supposed to do as a staff, when it comes to Power Hour. And I'm like, I thought I had made it clear the expectations, but I'm like, okay, I had to really go back and evaluate, like, okay, what is it on my end that I need to do better? Like, did I actually voice clear expectations and examples of what it is that we are to do and what we're trying to accomplish with Power Hour? So this past summer, one of the things, like before school started, one of the main things that I wanted to make more of a point of and emphasis on was improving Power Hour, bringing in more educational, fun pieces for our kids, and and really like voicing that to my staff, like, hey, I appreciate what you guys are doing, kind of like the sandwich effect. I appreciate what you guys are doing, but we have to be better, because what we did last year, that's not going to work. If we say that we want to help our kids improve in their education, here's what we need to do. And I laid it out for them in a more detailed sense and things like that. And this school year, we've been a lot better with our Power Hour. And it's showing in our kids' work, because a lot of our kids' grades, they're improving.
Yeah. So working with the staff has been a challenge. How did you, because one of the things I'm clear about, staff that are not trained to create the culture that you just described, a fun, engaging, academic Power Hour, they're going to teach the way they were taught. So how did you work that out in them, convincing them that a fun environment is also a learning environment?
Say it one more time, I'm sorry.
A fun environment is also a learning environment.
Yes.
How did you convince them?
So one of the things that I tell onboarding staff is that we encourage creativity. We encourage you to spread your creative wings here at my site. I'm not gonna micromanage you, but at the same time, I am going to help guide and direct you on where it is that you need to go in terms of like planning and types of activities and things like that, and what parameters to do it within, and kind of lay out some examples for them and allow them to expand on that. But I'm still a guide for them in a sense, like a coach, standing beside them, like, hey, this looks good, and they ask for input and things like that. And so we collaborate on that.
So let me shift a little bit in the conversation here. What are you doing personally to center yourself and be ready for the work and the challenge that you have on a day-to-day? What are some strategies, practices that you do on a personal basis that helps you get ready for this challenge?
So that's why I love expanded learning programs, because it's all about like changing and self-care and making sure that we're present, right, for students. So strategies for me is I love that we're incorporating more mindfulness. So I practice that. I had an anxiety attack about
It's real.
6-7 years ago. And I went to the doctor. I actually thought I was having a heart attack.
Me too.
And I thought, I'm having a heart attack. I don't even know that I can drive myself there. But I did, and it turns out it was an anxiety attack. So then the doctor told me, do more yoga, because sometimes your body reacts a certain way because you're internalizing so many things. And you have to have a way for your body to physically let go of that. So I try to practice yoga. But then I'm very spiritual too. So for me, it's a big connection with going to church and praying and meditating, and so that I can not get frustrated and not give up.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I just want to call off.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah. And you said something earlier too, is that you also read a book or listen to a podcast or look for some resources to help you come up with ideas.
Yes, I come to boost.
I come to boost. Yeah.
So for me, time management
Mhm.
was a huge obstacle that I faced. Still is at times. But I know for me, what's helped me be more consistent in managing my time is taking care of myself, and I eat better. I get more sleep. I wake up earlier in the morning. I have my prayer time in the morning to help start my day. Do meditation. I go to the gym and also try and do some readings, and also I'm getting into journaling. My wife has been encouraging me to get into journaling along with my therapist. They've been encouraging me to get into some journaling, because they're like, you probably would have a lot of things to journal about. So I'm like, yeah, I do need to get off too. So I just started that. So and that's been good. And also prioritizing things that I need to get done at work, because when I get into work, it's like it just seems like a big pile of things that I have to get done all at one time. And for me, I have to categorize, okay, what needs to be done now that I can get done now? What are things that are coming down the pipe that I can do little by little? And, what are some things that I can get ahead of the game?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very similar to you and care for myself. A few years ago, I did have a panic attack. I thought it was a heart attack. But without the funny part of it, like I could laugh about it now, it was because I wasn't taking care of my physical self. I was about 30 pounds heavier. It was very hard. I was eating. That's where I go. I eat when I get anxiety. And so I realized that we're like going, and that's what I was doing. I was just moving, that I needed to make a huge shift. And where you think that a glass of wine is not a big deal, 2 glasses of wine every night, it's not a big deal. It does have a big deal because I would wake up in the morning sluggish.
Yeah.
So I started paying attention to my energy, and I would take a couple of days without wine and see if it makes a difference. And I found that it does make a difference. So now I reduce my wines to the weekends. I'm not saying I don't give up. I didn't give up on my wines, but that's important. But the whole thing is that it's really acknowledging or being aware of yourself, what's working for you. I love my mornings. I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, the quietest time on earth. When the time I wake up, all the neighbors' lights are still off. And that's when I'm able to sit, do meditation. I do some reading, spiritual reading, even listening when I'm ready to get dressed. 15-minute workout. Woo! The best little video that I found just 15 minutes. Sometimes I could only do 5 because I have to run out earlier, but just moving my body in the morning does make a difference.
Yeah.
And, I'm still working with the step thing. I never could get to 10,000, but, I lost 30 pounds, so I'm doing something right. Yeah. But knowing that we're not perfect, right? So there's always something that's going to happen. Let's go on just relationship management for a second, right? So not only our own personal relationships, but relationships that we have at work. So, how are we managing our relationships with everything that we have to do?
So I know for me, I always, as the role of a husband, I always want to make sure that everything's right at home first. I always want to make sure everything's right at home first, because for me, if things ain't right at home, I know I'm gonna struggle even more so than what I originally would at work, So I always want to make sure that I'm prioritizing that first, and things like that. Because at first I thought I was being selfish in doing that, but it's like, actually, no, you need to, that's your role. That's what you're supposed to do. Also, with work, prioritizing relationships there, I always check in with my staff. I always, like to try and just have just plain, authentic one-on-one conversations with them, asking how their day is, how you doing, how was your weekend, and things like that. Now, in a work setting, I always like to have nightly meetings to reassess the day, because our after school program goes until 6, right? And so we clean up, we get all the kids out and have a big meeting. Try and go no longer than 20, 25 minutes on average. And I asked them, first thing I asked them is how things were for that day. What happened? Was there any disciplinary issues? Was there any highlights? Was there any lowlights? How are you mentally? Because to me, my teammates' mental sanity is one of the most important things to me, because if you're not right mentally, then you're not going to be able to give your all or give your best to these children.
Yeah.
And they don't deserve that. You don't deserve that.
Yeah.
We do that, and then throughout the day, even while we're in program, we each do check-ins with each other over the walkies and be like, okay, first check-in of the day, how we're doing, type thing, and then we just go on from there.
Are they honest? What happens if they say I'm not?
It took a while. It took a while for us to be honest, because of course we're getting acclimated with each other. If they know, if they say that they're not, and I hear it in their voice, I'll go to their classroom and I'll kind of pull them off to the side for a couple of minutes and ask, and okay, what happened?
Yeah.
Do I need to step in to your classroom and you take 10, 15 minutes to yourself to recollect yourself, take a breather? That's those types of things.
Yeah, I recently took over a program as an interim to shift the culture and get it in alignment. And the previous leader really did a division kind of thing. It was his favoritism, and the staff wasn't really communicating with each other. They didn't really have clarity on the expectation. They were blamed on a lot. And what we did a restorative circle. When I came in, because now all of a sudden this woman's coming in and, her name, she has doctor in front of her and they're kind of like, who, what's going to happen now? And I started with, let's just talk. How are you doing? And be honest, what has been happening that's, that doesn't work for you. And just being in that circle got them to be more and more honest. Believe me, I heard some things I didn't want to hear because I was like, oh, I gotta write this out. Gotta handle this. I gotta handle that because there were some real issues with safety. But my point is that after they let it all out, then we created a vision board. They created a vision board together on what they envisioned their work experience to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so fun because watching them work together and putting this together and printing stuff out of the computer, and the artist was doing his artwork, and I asked them afterwards, how did it feel? How do you feel now? And they were like, this was fun. And we talked to each other and we listened to each other. Say, yeah, that's what I want for your kids. That's what I want your kids to feel like. That's what I want, the environment to feel like. If you're happy, our kids are going to be happy. So how could we continue to do this and transform the environment for our kids? And we just started, it's just been about a week. So I can't tell you that, it's total transformation, but it's a beginning stage of consistency, which is what you brought up.
Yeah.
But your staff not happy, we don't have learning kids.
Yeah.
We don't have growing kids.
So I agree with you, like family, right? So personally, it's always connecting with my kids. My youngest son is in middle school and very emotional sometimes. And he struggled a lot during COVID. So I always make sure that I'm connecting, that we're connecting and we're giving the time to listen. How are you doing? How did it go? What can I help you with? But then professionally, there's a couple different layers. So I'm at the district office. So one of my roles is removing barriers, removing barriers and changing the perception of the program. And I found that other departments really like it when you follow their rules.
Yeah.
So they say, if you want your purchase order to get through quickly, be nice to the clerk.
Yes.
Be nice to the accounting clerk.
Oh, sorry, go.
No, it's just that. And then if I'm visiting school sites, I want to listen. I want to know, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Like from the district side, do you need more things? Is there an issue with the administration? Have you connected with the office?
Yeah.
How do I help you? So I'm always looking at building those relationships and following their rules, doing things the way they would like, because they've established them for a reason. And I want to make sure they know that we're respecting that.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I wanted to add one more piece to my deal. So like in terms of relationships, I'm a firm believer that just because I have a title doesn't mean that I'm above reproach and that I'm above correction. And I let my staff know that too as well. Like, yes, I may have this title as site director and there may be a quote unquote chain of command, but if I'm slacking, you need to let me know because I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
And I can't be my best for you and for these children if I don't hear what I need to correct.
Yeah.
So I always have to remind them because sometimes I feel like they're scared to do so, which I don't think I give off as like an intimidating presence. But I let them know, like, hey, I won't bite you.
Yeah.
Come talk to me. Let me know like what I'm doing wrong so I can correct that because I will do the same for you because I care about you that much.
And it's creating those environments where your staff trusts that they won't have backlash if they do say something.
Yeah.
Or even the environment where, I call the standard operating procedure, you're the one on the floor. You know what works. Help me create the standard operating procedure on, monitoring in the hallways or the bathroom and give me ideas. And we put it together I'm listening to your ideas and applying it.
Yep.
So they have a sense of ownership and what's going on. With our staff, I find that one of the biggest issues have been tardiness and lack of, a lot of absenteeism. And as I'm working with clients and stuff, what I'm realizing is that we're not giving our staff value. One, in other words, you are important to those children.
Yes.
Your being present for them 100% gives them value. When you're not here, they're the ones that are impacted.
Yeah.
Right. And not only emotionally, but also safe-wise.
Yeah.
Right. So having those conversations with them really helps them feel like when this is not a job. And I go to Starbucks. I'm sorry, Starbucks, but if you make bad coffee, you're not going to have a job long. So why are we allowing our staff not to have good culture for our kids?
Yeah.
Right? We need to have a distinction of accountability, right? So if you're holding them accountable, it's because you're watching, you're looking for it, and then you shift at the time, not later when you're blown out of your mind in upset and frustration because your staff is not following your instructions, right? So part of emotional intelligence is that we realize, well, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Let me go back and find something else. Oh, that still didn't work. Let me go back and find something else. So having a staff person, I know one of the young ladies that we worked with, she was like her light was really dim. And I was observing her, like she was on the phone and I would go up and put your phone away. I'll walk away, she gets on the phone again, put your phone away. And I was like, she is not responding to me. And she would wear a cap and it's all the way down to her chin, down here. And she's like, the kids are like climbing all over her and she's not really, like, she's just there. So we had a conversation with her, like, what's going on? And she has siblings. She's the oldest of siblings. So that's one reason she came in late, she told me, but that she feels very stressful at home. And then she comes she comes to work to these kids, but there's no structure. Nobody told her that she shouldn't wear a hat. Nobody told her that a phone was inappropriate in the classroom. Like the consistency of taking care of her wasn't there. Therefore, she didn't do it. She came back the following week as bright. And this is how we do it. And this is how we do it. And she's just a bright light. And all it takes is making that connection with your staff to know that I care about you. Like, so let's work together to see what you could do. What could we do to help you? Well, give me guidelines, give me like clarity. But what I want to do is I really want to shift and have the audience engage in, and even if you're online, you could write something on chat. If you have any questions for us or around emotional intelligence, this is the time.
Speaking of emotional intelligence, a lot of my staff is young, 20, 21,
Yeah.
to that are working with teenagers in school.
Yes.
We have a really hard time teaching that. Even with trainings and conversations, like you, I'm open book content, tell me what I'm doing wrong. We have such a hard time teaching them and having them realize you are a mentor to these kids.
Yeah.
You're here, you're a mentor, and we grow with them.
So I did say honesty, right? So I'm going to start deep. First of all, let's understand where our staff are. We have a perception that they should be somewhere, and it's most likely over there somewhere. The pandemic, we are not addressing the true impact of the pandemic to all of us, not just our little kids, but the staff that you're hiring now were in high school during the pandemic, which did not give them the consistency, the mentorship, the opportunity to socialize, or let alone have a dream. So what we're doing is we're hiring the young people because that's who we could afford. But the second part of this honesty is we didn't prepare them accurately to get on the floor with kids. We didn't. And the honest truth is, as soon as they got on the floor, they needed to understand what true social emotional learning looks like or development looks like, right? Our kids are also behind. Our kindergarten first graders never did preschool. Our middle schoolers had a hard time in elementary. You know what I'm saying? Our high schoolers didn't have the middle school experience of being a total brat. So now they're being a brat, right? We are moving ahead. We're like, oh, the pandemic is over. Let's go. Let's start where we left off. No, our assessment has to go into where are our kids and our staff now and prepare our staff to succeed. And I'm going to get off my boat in a minute, less than a minute. Our staff, you give them the hardest job is to keep 20 kids quiet and still at 3:30 in the afternoon. You be quiet and be still at 3:30 in the afternoon without a cup of coffee. And yet we're expecting them to be quiet and be still at 3:00. And our staff is too busy just trying to get them to be quiet and be still and listen. And it's going against the grain. It's going against the natural nature of a human being. We can't be quiet and be still. And then yet we put our staff in front of children and say, make sure that they're all following instruction. Make sure that they all get their homework done by the end of the day. Make sure that they all follow the STEM instruction, all at the same time. And they're going beep, 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 beep. And the staff is frustrated. Let's give them something to feel successful. A successful environment is that kids are happy. Staff is happy, right? So we need to rethink on how we're teaching, not what we're teaching, how we're teaching. So I knew this conversation was going to come up because it's happening everywhere. Everyone is having the same conversation. But did we really prepare them?
I agree 100% what you said, but I'm struggling that, I've been trying to be coaching now throughout the whole year. And at some point I have to go to the temple because I've tried the sympathy, I've tried that I'm working with you. I've given you this in writing, I've given this verbally, and now like yesterday she didn't communicate with me. I said, go. You didn't tell me you're running an hour and a half late. Go.
Right.
But I said, why? Go. You didn't tell them that.
Yeah.
I agree with we've got to go backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
They didn't get it in high school.
Right.
But at some point you still have to go, well, you still didn't listen throughout this 10 months I've been trying. And now I'm at the point that I'm done.
Right.
And so it's kind of hard. And I hate the kids need to be quiet. I'm more, let's have fun.
Right.
We got to teach them to have fun too.
Right. But going back to I'm done, let's not wait till we're done.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Accountability, we got a misperception of what accountability is, right? We think accountability is mean. We think it's evil if I have to remind you to come in on time. It's evil if I have to remind you to prepare, right? Accountability is that we actually hold them accountable for making that cup of coffee perfect every time they make it. You see what I'm saying? Perfect every time we make it. So how does it look like in a classroom? So we can't wait till we had it to tell them to go home for an hour and a half. They need to know the consequences ahead of time.
Yeah.
The third time they came in late in that room, even if I have to bring the whole group together and say, Lateness is an issue. Let's get it out the way. This got to be taken care of now, because we cannot allow, enabling is called. Oh, I said it. Enabling, we allow them, it's okay. We allow them, then it's okay. And then we get upset at them. But we allowed them.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where emotional intelligence comes in. Look at yourself. Look at what we're not doing to make it happen. Do you have a clear vision on what you want those classrooms to look like from day one? Enroll them in it, and this is what we're going to create. When it's not that, we're talking about it. What's not working? What's not working? Not you shoulda, coulda, woulda, woulda. You should have known this. I told you already. No, what's not working? Let them be part of the problem solving. So I saw a hand back here. Yes.
Yeah, hi. Well, a lot of things are popping in my head. I was like, oh my God, yes, I didn't see what's wrong. So I actually had a situation like that where I told my staff, I believe that's never our part. She was saying, oh, they come late, it's so blah, they're young. So I was like, yeah, they are young, but for you allowing this behavior, you're not doing them a service, because this is their first job for a lot of our staff.
Yes.
For you allowing this, they're gonna go walk around leaving this job and that thinking that this is a normal thing to do. So I told them, you need to do this because you're doing it a service.
Yes.
Exactly what I told them. And another thing I told them, like, I had another conversation with a staff, but she was just like, oh, you know, like, closer to the end, and I was laughing. And I told her, well, I want you to picture, so you have a brother or sister? She was like, yeah, I have a little brother. Well, I want you to tell me, would you want your brother and sister to be in this program?
There it is.
And she was like, got that. Okay, exactly. So that's why we need to be on your A game and give these kids the program that they deserve.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my God, I never thought it.
Yeah.
That's a fair enough. Like, you have kids, would you enroll your kids in this program?
That's a very good point. And if you make an assessment to the other staff people in your organization, or would you put your kids in this program, that's an assessment. If they say no, it's not them, it's you. It's you. Because we're not doing whatever it takes to create these environments. I saw a face, I saw a hand.
Going to, she was saying about, would you report your children here having the perfect cup at Starbucks, right? Struggle that we don't, or that I see is activity planning, right?
Yes.
I'm not sure, but not submitting them, not putting them in. So I create statistics on that my staff. No, hey, the work that we're providing or the activity that I'm receiving, I'm really like a grading stuff.
Yeah.
It's a B average, B minus, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, as I'm holding them accountable, I'm also holding myself and my needs accountable, because we're allowing this to happen.
Yes.
Instead of nipping that. And that's where we got to go back and, okay, it happened fall semester, we can pick it up.
Right. And going back to the classroom environment, we got to first make it easy for them to feel like they could manage the environment, right? So I'm throwing it out there. Rotations, stations, hand toys, all of that stuff is juicy and brilliant. You know why? Because the staff is not worrying about everybody sitting still. The staff is actually now being able to be in communication with certain kids. If they're not having a good time with each other, you could coach them a little bit, but kids are all in it. Legos, Play-Doh, drawing, the kids are all in it. And you just deal with the ones that need more attention. And then every day you reinforce more rule, you reinforce the rules. We clean up behind each other. We take care of each other with the kids. So making it easy for the staff at first before they could throw in some curriculum, it's hard. It is a hard thing to do, to be a teacher without a degree.
It's hard with it.
That
It's
too.
hard with the degree.
That too. Yeah.
Yes, I saw a hand over there. Okay.
I wanted to add on to two things you all said. That one is accountability. Some of it, I see it's like a recurring thing in staffing. We often look at it from the bullying side. We also hold ourselves accountable. A huge thing is that we all know is once really hard to find qualified staff. That a lot of
Yes.
programs that within are low income communities. So
Yes.
like what you said, make sure the homes good, make sure the homes with how they're showing up, a lot of those comments, why conversation happen a bit. Sometimes I'm sad because that's what the baby's considering. Sometimes I'm sad because they're waiting on a ride from somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Mhm.
All the time, it's not their fault, but it's like, how can we pop, hey, maybe like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because we're waiting on you to pick up, perfect. We'll alternate our schedules, have some coverage for you.
Yes.
And the part that is really important there is what you said when you first started is one of the reasons you were so successful in your roles because you have this, or you were in that community, you were in the district, so you were able to leverage those relationships. And that's why it's so important to be hire in that site director role, that region manager role, because if the staff don't feel comfortable with them, you're never
Yeah.
gonna know that information. If you already know part of that is
Yeah.
vulnerability, it's the hardest part, the hardest aspect to have in the area of low-income communities because you're dealing with so much every single day.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for that reinforcement. And, you know, if we are not paying attention to their development, right, we are struggling. So it's their emotional development. And up there, when you talked, it's workforce development. Let's do the basic, come on time, come to work, dress appropriate, learn how to communicate, problem solve, you get a job. Not only would you have a job after this, but you're going to be able to put together a great resume and tell them it's like, I'm a problem solver, I'm a relationship manager, I'm an organizer, put all those juicy words in there that we do so they could go into their next job. If they're looking for more money, they could go into their next job feeling powerful. But empowering our staff to know that this is a job that they get developed and they could move forward to something bigger and brighter. And if this is just a stepping stone, some of them want to stay with us because they have so much fun.
Can I add just?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's also important to connect them to resources. So thank you for bringing up that side of it with low income communities, because part of our roles is connecting families to services and but also connecting those employees to services.
Yeah.
They look like our community.
Yeah.
That's who they are.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's multi-tier system of support, MTSS. I use them a lot for training, professional development, but then also connecting to mental health.
Oh,
That's important.
you did say that. We have one more, I promise you. So I'm going to go.
So we're gonna be bringing a lot of structural change in our organization, and I guess my question is how do we kind of help our supervisors cope with that change transition while also trying to get the result that we desperately need in our community?
Culture change. We need to build culture first, right? So culture is, how do you feel? How do you behave? What are the values that we express in this environment? Culture is so critical in order for any manager or anybody to feel like they want to work for you. So you're going to throw a whole bunch of change in them. You're going to get exodus. And then you're going to bring a whole bunch of new people and they're going to leave too. Because this is not a culture that I want to grow in. So when we have to put attention to developing culture, which is what my immediate suggestion is, meaning the high ups have to put their minds together, and it's not the mission statement. Not the mission statement. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about site by site. What's the culture because of the community you serve, the people that are in there? What's the culture? How do we want to be here? Right? We need to put a lot of attention to that and then have them buy into it's going to take change to create that. Elizabeth, you're coming closer. Oh, go.
really important, I want to add, this is me on the sidebar, but we talked a lot about challenges, right? And where you guys are. What has been the most rewarding?
Say that one more time.
What has been the most rewarding thus far to where you are in your journey?
I'm gonna say it's professionals that I work with getting recognized for the work that they do.
That part.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and of course, the students,
Yeah,
because we're showcasing them at an awards night this week,
yes.
and I'm super excited about it. So, yeah, when they're excited to be at school and they say, you know what, mom and dad, can you come back for me? Because I don't want to leave yet. I love it.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that. Two of the most rewarding things for me is seeing my staff grow into the amazing team that they have been on a consistent basis all the time. And I love bragging on them at any and every chance that I get. As a matter of fact, special shout out to my John Glenn BG's Boys and Girls Club family, and also my Boys and Girls Club of Oklahoma County family as well. But my team specifically, I love the growth that I've seen from them. They have been awesome from jump, and then the cohesiveness that they have, that we all have. It's beautiful to see and watch. And then also our kids, like the social and emotional skills that they've gained in their time since they've started has been amazing to see that from the time that they first came to where they are now. It's beautiful. And then it makes you teary-eyed just watching it from day to day, because it's like, man, I remember where we started. You know, we were here and now we're all the way up here, and then it's only going to get better. So truly blessed with the kids and the staff that I have. They're awesome.
And I have to say, this is my reward. This is my reward. My reward is, let's keep talking. Let's keep talking. Let's keep sharing. Let's keep giving ourselves support. Your solutions are needed over there. We all have solutions for each other. And this is a field that is the nucleus of our future, because we get to identify our children's light and let them see it so they could create our future. I'm counting on them. For that, we're going to say thank you.